Waves of the Heart. Chapter 1, The First Meeting. On the quiet shores of a small coastal town called Azure Bay, where the waves whispered secrets and the breeze carried dreams, lived a young woman named Elena. She worked at her family's seaside inn, known for its sun-faded walls and the scent of ocean salt in every room. Elena loved the ocean, not just for its beauty but for the memories it held of her late mother, who used to sing to the sea as if it were a friend. One rainy afternoon in late summer, a stranger arrived at the inn. He was tall, with dark hair damp from the storm, and eyes that held stories. His name was Lucas, a travel writer seeking inspiration and solitude. "Room for one?" he asked, brushing water from his coat. Elena nodded, offering a soft smile. "Of course. We always have room for someone chasing the sea." Chapter 2, Kindred Spirits. Over the next few days, Lucas became a quiet presence around the inn. He wrote in the mornings, walked along the beach at dusk, and sometimes sat by the fire in the lounge, reading or sketching in his notebook. Elena found herself watching him more often than she meant to. There was something about the way he looked at the horizon, as if he was trying to remember something lost. One evening, as the sunset dyed the sky with gold and crimson, Lucas joined Elena outside. "Why do you love the sea?" he asked, watching her gently comb the sand with her fingers. She thought for a moment. "Because it listens. No matter how loud or quiet your heart is, it listens." Lucas was silent, then replied, "Maybe that's why I came here. I needed someone, or something, to listen." Chapter 3, The Connection. Days turned into weeks. Lucas helped Elena repaint the shutters of the inn, fixed a broken fence, and even cooked with her father on stormy nights. He wasn't just a guest anymore. He was part of the rhythm, part of the place. And without quite realizing it, Elena began to feel something shift, the quiet blooming of affection. One night, as they sat beneath the stars, Lucas shared his story. He had been engaged once, but lost her in a tragic accident. Since then, he had drifted, trying to find meaning again. "I thought I'd forgotten how to feel," he whispered. "But with you, I remember." Elena reached for his hand. Some hearts don't break, they just wait for the right tide to carry them home. Chapter 4, Choices and Goodbyes. But love isn't always simple. Lucas was offered a chance to travel across Europe for a year to write a book. It was a dream, his lifelong dream. "I don't want to leave you," he told her the night before his departure. Elena smiled, though her heart ached. "You must go. If it's real, it will return, like the tide." They kissed beneath the lanterns that swayed in the sea wind, and he left with a promise that he would come back. Chapter 5, The Return. A year passed. Letters came like waves, each one filled with stories, longing, and love. Elena waited. Not passively, but with strength. She rebuilt the inn, planted a garden, and watched the seasons change. Then, on the anniversary of his departure, as the ocean shimmered in the morning light, Lucas returned. He was thinner, sun-kissed, and his eyes shone brighter than ever. He knelt before her, not with a ring, but with a seashell he had found in Greece. "I traveled the world," he said, "but no place felt like home, except here, except you." She took the shell, tears in her eyes. "Welcome home, Lucas." Epilogue. They were married on the beach, beneath a sky of gulls and sunlight. The inn thrived, not because of its charm, but because of the love that lived within its walls. Together, they wrote their story, not just in books or letters, but in every morning shared, every sunset watched, and every wave that kissed the shore. Sound of Your Name. In a quiet coastal town nestled between rolling hills and the whispering sea, lived a girl named Alara. She was the kind of person who saw beauty in ordinary things, wildflowers growing through cracks in the pavement, the way light fell through old stained glass windows, and the gentle hum of the sea in the distance. She worked at the town's library, a quaint building filled with dusty shelves and forgotten stories. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rolled over the ocean and raindrops tapped softly on the windows, a stranger walked in. He was tall, with dark hair slightly damp from the rain, and eyes that seemed to carry the weight of distant places. He introduced himself with a soft smile. "My name is Nathaniel." Alara found herself curious about this mysterious man. Nathaniel had just moved into a small cottage near the cliffs, he said. He came to the library often, always borrowing books about history, poetry, and philosophy. Over time, they began to speak more. First about books, then about life, memories, and dreams. Their connection grew slowly, like a song that begins with a single note and builds into something unforgettable. Alara learned that Nathaniel had once been a musician, a pianist who had traveled the world. But after losing someone he loved deeply, he stopped playing. The pain in his heart had silenced the music in his soul. Alara never pushed him. She simply listened, shared quiet moments, and offered her presence as comfort. One evening, as the sky blushed with sunset, she took him to a hidden garden behind the library. There stood an old upright piano, weathered but still holding its charm. She smiled gently and whispered, "Maybe one day you'll want to play again." He touched the keys for the first time in years, and the sound was soft, hesitant, like a broken heart learning to beat again. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Their love was not rushed. It was tender and patient, built on shared silences and soft laughter. Nathaniel began to play more often. Alara would sit beside him, sometimes reading, sometimes simply watching the way his fingers moved as if drawing light from the air. On the first day of spring, Nathaniel took her hand and led her to the garden once more. The piano was there, surrounded by blooming flowers. He sat and played a melody that wrapped around her heart like a promise. When the music faded, he looked into her eyes. "Alara," he said, "you brought me back to life. The sound of your name is the first note in every song I play now." Tears welled in her eyes as he knelt and asked her to share forever with him. Years later, the people of the town would often pass by the old garden and hear music drifting through the air, gentle, full of love, and alive with the memory of how two hearts found each other in the quiet of a library, beneath the rhythm of the rain, and in the sound of a name that meant home.